What's up, everybody? Sev here, bringing you some more Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes commentary. Wanted to do a little bit of a video and commentary specializing my new Arena squad, the team that I've been pushing a lot on the Empire server, and some of you have tried this out. Quite a few of you actually have tried this squad out and are having a lot of success, and then of course there are some haters as well. So just wanted to try to put everything to rest here and explain what I'm doing, why I've done it this way, why I made the choices that I did, and try to bring some clarity as to why this squad works, but more importantly here, why I believe the game changers are wrong and everybody else that's hating on the Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader reworks, because I truly believe these reworks are amazing, and I want to explain that in this video and then go through some battles with you so you can get an idea of why I believe that, and you can see that for yourself, but I feel like the proof is in the pudding, as they say, even though nobody really likes pudding because it's gross. But anyways, this is the squad, and many of you are aware of the Zetas that came out and the rework for both Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. You know, Emperor Palpatine's Zeta lead, of course, goes into you know, they raised a little bit of the percentage for the potency and max health for Empire. That's negligible. I mean, it's a nice even number. That's great. Thanks for that. But really, what it makes his lead so amazing, a couple different things here. Of course, when Empire allies inflict debuff, they gain 20% turn meter. It's huge. When Sith allies inflict debuffs, they gain health back. That's great. Adds to the healing. But this last part here that comes with the Zeta, and when a debuff on an enemy expires, Empire and Sith allies gain 5% turn meter. This is what makes this Zeta lead, in my opinion, the fastest lead in the game. And I know that that's a bold statement to make, but I don't say it without having done some testing thoroughly, and I feel like the results that I've had recently speak for themselves. So anyways, why this is important, especially when you pair Emperor Palpatine up with allies that can debuff, whether that's himself, Darth Vader's a big one, pretty much anybody that debuffs, once those debuffs either expire or are cleansed. So if it's a dot that gets removed because it was up for 2 turns, or if it's speed down that expired, or if there, you know, is a chariot or a Rex or a GK that cleanses debuffs, any way that, you know, these debuffs are removed, it goes ahead and it feeds 5% turn meter per debuff that's cleansed. So, you know, when you look specifically at Darth Vader and why he works so well with this squad, if you look at his Force Crush, when he uses it, it inflicts 3 damage over time effects for 2 turns, but then also does speed down. So I'm just saying this theoretically, if you know, you put this on a team, you landed all 4 debuffs, the 3 dots, the speed down, and then you went ahead and let's say General Kenobi on the enemy team cleansed it all. So that's 4 debuffs times 5 enemies. Your entire team just got 100% turn meter just from those being cleansed. And of course, since Dark Side, particularly Empire and Sith, rely heavily on debuffs, it just works really well with Emperor Palpatine's Zeta lead. So that's what makes it so fast. Tons of debuffs, tons of speed, of course, with Darth Vader and his Zeta rework for his unique. The Zeta itself, I feel like, is good, but the unique by itself is amazing. At the start of the encounter, Darth Vader gains 8 speed until the end of that encounter for each of the following. So if they're an Empire ally, Sith ally, Jedi enemy, Rebel enemy, Darth Vader, oh sorry, so the end of that. So if they meet any of those requirements, he gains 8 speed. So of course, Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine, they're both Sith and Empire, so he gains 16 speed right off the bat, just for both of them being allies, because you're included as an ally on your team. Likewise, if there's a General Kenobi or Commander Luke Skywalker or an R2-D2, Old Ben, you know, any Rebel or Jedi, then they feed him this speed at the start of the encounter, and it lasts for the entire encounter. If you have like a Old Ben or an Ezra or a Kanan, where they're both a Rebel and a Jedi, they also give Darth Vader it double dips, so they give him 16 speed as opposed to 8. This makes Darth Vader incredibly fast, and I'm going to go into a little bit more of that here as we get through. The Zeta adds this clause here at the end where he's immune to turn meter reduction. I find this extremely useful if Jedi Training Rey tries to mind trick him, or Commander Luke Skywalker. If Commander Luke uses his special ability and tries to remove turn meter, it doesn't work. He's immune to it. So I find that to be very useful, given what team comps and tunes are on the ladder right now. But then it also adds this 5% health that he recovers when a dot expires. So if those dots are cleansed or they expire, he gains the health. So I find the Zeta to be very useful. Of course, I use him in my ships. That means adds speed and different things there. So overall, it's a good Zeta, but I wouldn't say it's necessary for this squad, but it makes it better. Of course, we have Grand Admiral Thrawn, who's obviously a baller. I have mine dual Zeta, Ebb and Flow. I'm not a big fan of the Zeta. I think it's good, but I don't think it's amazing because mine has enemies fractured all the time and still gets stunned by R2. So it is what it is. The biggest things right now in the meta and what makes this team so successful is that if your ladder is anything like mine, my arena shard is, the top 50 is like 90% Jedi Training Rey squads, which of course consists of R2, BB-8, General Kenobi, and then that fifth varies. It could be Old Ben, I've seen Thrawn, I've seen Raidhan, I've seen CLS. And so the problem with Jedi Training Rey is when they crit, they apply the exposes, and of course they crit all the time because of her leadership ability, and it's kind of broken. Not CLS level broken, but you need crit immunity. So that's why I have Shore Trooper here. Shore Trooper is awesome. Mine's gear 12. Works really well. Regroup, the ability. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Of course, he recovers health. All allies recover health. Gives crit immunity for 2 turns. He gains taunt for 2 turns. And then with his unique, obviously he begins the battle with taunt. And then there's TM gains and advantages for that that work as well. Of course, if his taunt is removed, then it reduces the cooldown on this ability. So he can get this ability up all the time, which means your crit immunity is up just about all the time. And of course, General Kenobi, I know there's a lot of hate because he's a light side tank, but he's a really good tank. He's good at what he does. He's got his negotiator ability, which is a cleanse, and if you don't have any debuffs, puts up retribution. Of course, lead the charge is a great assist call. He provides foresight with his Sarisu ability, and then of course if somebody is critically hit, he gains taunt, they gain critical hit immunity. So again, the critical hit immunity is what is so important versus the Jedi Training Rey squads. So anyways, that's a little bit of an explanation of why I put this squad together. As soon as the Zetas were released and the reworks were released, I immediately got on. I had been saving the Zetas for a couple of months, and put them on these tunes immediately so I could begin testing them. Of course, I've been a dark side fanboy for my entire Galaxy of Heroes playtime, and if you've known me for any length of time, you know that to be true. So I didn't care if these were good or not. These are some of my favorite characters. They were getting the Zetas, and I was going to test it out. And I do have a lot of Sith, which I'm really proud of, because I'm a big Sith fan as well. Darth Nihilus is one of my favorite characters from the Star Wars universe, right up there with Darth Revan. So the first thing I did was test Sith, and it worked really well. I've got videos on that. You can check them out. But what I realized is, no matter how fast your team would be, because I do have a Gear 12 Sith Assassin, if you couldn't keep your team from being crit, they were just getting wrecked by Jedi Training Rey. Just the damage was just too great. So that's why I feel like these 2 tanks are the right 2 tanks. Of course, Thrawn brings a cleanse, and Fracture is very useful. But let me get into the mods real quick, and we can talk about what specifically with this team's turn order makes them so successful. And if I could just back up here just for a moment, some of you guys have been wondering how well this team has held on defense. Of course, I put it in the first day, and I ended the day, I went to bed at rank 2. Of course, my testing, I just kind of left it in. Woke up, I was rank 12. So I was like, hey, that's pretty good. It was modded differently and nothing like it is now. Second day, made a few changes, changed the mods. Went to bed at rank 3, woke up at rank 13. I was like, hey, that's pretty good. So a couple teams beat me. I asked my shard mates, what do you guys think? Some of them were struggling, trying to figure it out. They felt like the team was really fast. A couple of the Jedi training raid teams were like, hey, thought this was what was challenging, or I thought this made it easier, so I made some more changes. But then going into the weekend, I've got to give a shout out to some of the guys that I've been hanging out with in a theory crafting channel like KP and Primal Pat, Physics, MD Geist, and Za, Grave Troll. We've been kind of talking through some theory crafting together, and Primal Pat had mentioned to me one thing about Vader's speed, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But I made this change, and since I made this change, I've held even better overnight. Of course, I didn't do a single battle after my payout yesterday, and I think I ended the day at rank 2, and then I lost one battle to another Empire player, the only other one on my shard, so he dropped me to rank 3, which is very nice of him. His name's Shirio. He and I kind of helped theory craft this team together, and I woke up at rank 3, so I didn't play the game for about 16 hours, and I didn't move. So it just speaks to the success of this team, and I have heard from my shard mates that they're having a pretty miserable time competing against this squad. But anyways, Primal Pat had said, hey Sev, have you tried speeding your Vader up? Obviously, we all know if you look at BB-8's kit, of course I hate BB-8, but let me pull him up here. Not this one. Not that one. What the heck? Which one is it? There we go. So he's got this ability here. Self-preservation protocol. He's got a Zeta upgrade here, which some people use. What's broken about this is that he doesn't even need the Zeta for this to be good. But just the Omega upgrade. At the start of each encounter, if BB-8 is active, droid allies gain 8% turn meter for each active droid ally. Of course, if you've faced any Jedi training raid teams, you know that they're running both BB-8 and R2. There's even one on my shard that also runs Imperial probe droid. So those droids, they feed TM. Of course, no matter what BB-8's speed is, he's going to have an additional 16% turn meter. Same thing with R2, just for having this ability Omega. It is what it is. I think it's broken, but it's what it is. That's what makes BB-8 so fast. Of course, he's got a high base speed. I don't even know what it is. It's fast. 150 it looks like. And then R2, obviously, I think he's 151. So they're already fast. And then they feed this turn meter. If you fought them, as soon as you start the encounter, BB-8 goes, because he's super fast. I think the average BB-8 in my shard is around 280. I mean, he's super fast. People running him at that speed, you can't outspeed him. But most people don't have God mods for every tune. Most people. Now, your mileage may vary. Each shard is different. But most people have like one really amazing set of mods, and they have some really good mods that they kind of spread out among the other tunes. So typically, if they got their BB-8 around, let's say 280, 285, which is pretty pimped out, their R2 is not as fast. I think most R2s on my shard after BB-8 are right around 260. There's a couple around 270. Those are really good mods. Those are the teams that can beat me while my squad is on defense. But for the ones that are around 260, this is why they can't beat me. We know there is a formula that's out there. Give credit to Arrow and Indomitable J for the formula, but essentially if you want to figure out turn meter for BB-8 and for R2, it's the same thing as with the Zal meta last year, where you would multiply what their speed is. You'd multiply it times 100 over 84, right? So 100 being 100% turn meter, and they get a 16% increase. 100 minus 16 is 84. Or you could just do their base speed divided by 0.84, essentially is what you're doing. So my BB-8, whatever, I don't care. Yeah, I tried him out, he's 222. But essentially, if I were trying to figure out what an enemy's BB-8 speed would be, I'd take this speed, which in this case would be 222, multiply it, or divide it by 0.84, and I'd get a number. It's the same thing for R2. So I would say because most droids, or most R2s, are slower, and again, your mileage may vary, but most R2s are going to be slower as a result of BB-8 being the fastest, right? So if I pull on my calculator here, let's just do this. All right, so mine was 222, right? 222 divided by 0.84, 264. So that's what my BB-8 speed would be if I were running this squad. That's pretty slow, but for these BB-8s that are 280, let's say, divided by 0.84, 333. That's pretty freaking fast. I think there's one on my shard that's 286 divided by 0.84. So his effective speed is 340. Probably not going to outspeed that BB-8. I'm not saying it's impossible. You'd have to have amazing mods, but I'm just saying it's less likely. However, with R2 being at his speed, let's just throw a 260 out there because I think that's about average. So R2's speed is 310, essentially. 310's beatable by Darth Vader. Of course, with his unique, he gets 8 speed, you know, per Rebel, per Jedi, per Sith, per Empire, etc. So if I go back over here, we'll look at my Darth Vader. My Darth Vader's 246 speed. Now this is my best mods. This is the fastest mods. People are giving me crap because I have God mods. I don't feel like I have God mods. I have a couple really good mods. This one in particular, it's plus 23. It's the only mod I have that's over 17. The next fastest mod I have is 17, and then the next fastest mod I have a 17, a 16, a few 15s. I mean, this is it. I would say this is a God mod. It's the only one I have. But I've got 23 there, 15 on that one, 15 there, 13 there. That's my 17. And then of course just a 30. It puts him at 246. So if I go back to my calculator app, so if Vader's 246, right? So I get plus 16 for Darth Vader, I get plus 16 for Emperor Palpatine, I get 8 for Short Trooper, I get 8 for Grand Admiral Thrawn, I get 8 for R2, I get 8 for General Kenobi, and then right there he's 310. So he's going to beat a 260 speed R2, but oftentimes if there's a Commander Luke, or if there's an old Ben, or if there's a OP Han or something, of course if Commander Luke would make him 318, old Ben would make him 326, which is almost as fast as that BB-8. Raid Han would again make him 318. So if your Darth Vader is this fast, if you can outspeed the R2s on your shard, what makes this so important is, as you know, when the battle starts, BB-8 will use secret intel, R2 will go next, and he'll do smoke screen, which applies foresight to General Kenobi. Of course, if you use Darth Vader's Force Crush, it's going to miss General Kenobi. You're not going to land any dots. Now the AI, when you're not playing the character, when your team's on defense, the AI is going to use Force Crush. Darth Vader's going to gain 100% turn meter because he applied debuffs from Emperor Palpatine's lead, and he's going to immediately go again. He's going to use Coaling Blade. Now, he Coaling Blades a General Kenobi that has no debuffs. It's a wasted turn, essentially. I mean, it's a turn, but whatever. It does, like, almost no damage. However, if you were able to outspeed the enemy R2, now you've got, I would say, on average, I'll have 2 debuffs, or 2 dots, and then speed down, or I'll have 3 dots. I usually have about 3 debuffs, okay? Now, there are some times where I get all 4, the 3 dots and the speed down. Well, now I've gone before R2, and on defense, I mean, you can do it on offense, it's the same thing, but the AI will use Coaling Blade. Coaling Blade, as we know, it dispels the debuffs, okay? By those debuffs being dispelled, they're removed, therefore they expire. According to Emperor Palpatine's Zeta lead, each debuff that's dispelled grants the entire Sith and Empire allies 5% turn meter each. So let's just say all 3 dots landed, and the speed down. Darth Vader uses Calling Blade. Your entire team just got 20% turn meter. So even if they're slow, or slower than JTR, slower than R2, well, this team just got 20% turn meter. And now my entire team is going before Jedi Training Ray. My entire team's going before R2-D2. They're all, you know, so you kind of see where this is going. Now, if you don't outspeed R2, the squad is still amazing on defense because of all the debuffs, all the cleanses that General Kenobi provides. Of course, R2, which, hate the freaking droid, but he's got his combat analysis Zeta, which most people have, where if a light side ally, any light side ally crits, it removes their debuffs. Jedi Ray, her Zeta, a lot of people are running it. It cleanses herself. So there's a lot of cleansing on this squad. Every time they cleanse or a debuff expires, your team gains turn meter. And that's what makes this team so successful. You get speed from applying debuffs, but then you also get speed from when those debuffs expire. And if your Darth Vader is faster than the enemy R2, I'm going to say probably 95% of the time, unless you get garbage RNG, you're going to win that match on defense. On offense, everybody can win on offense, but I'm saying on defense. And this is why most of the JTR squads on my shard can't beat this team, because of the speed of my Darth Vader and the speed of their R2s. Now, I'm not telling them that if they made their R2s faster, that it would be easier for them. And I don't even know if they can, because most people don't have godly mods, or at least enough for multiple tunes. But this is what makes this squad so good. So, if I back up here, go into the arena. So, I did lose to a couple of the faster squads. Like I said, there are some that have like a 285 BB-8 and like a 270, 275 R2. Those teams, they can't win against me when they're on offense and I'm on defense. But I'm going to take on one of these squads here while this is recording, and I'm going to walk you through things, and then I'll do another battle with a, I'll show you a series of battles essentially, where you can see how the squad performs. But anyways, I'm going to battle this guy here, Rev NCZ. He's a nice guy in my shard chat, but let's take a look here. It is R2. 262, okay? So I already know, you know, by doing the math, I can find out what his speed's going to be with BB-8. Alright, 262 divided by 0.84 is 311. Okay, and I just did the math a few minutes ago. I'm just going to tell you, because his squad, he runs OP Han, my speed of my Darth Vader is going to be 318. So I'm going to outspeed his R2. So I'm going to battle this team right now, and I'm going to show you what it looks like at the start, but then I'm going to just let you take a look at how fast this team is with the turn meter gains. Alright? Here we go. Alright. So I didn't outspeed JTR. That's okay. It may not happen all the time, but as you can see, R2 hasn't gone. Now, the only person with foresight is JTR, so I'm going to land debuffs on the other 4 tunes. Of course, Force Crush can't be countered now, which is awesome. So let's take a look here. Okay? So right there, BB-8 got called to assist from JTR, and then he was cleansed. So if I applied those debuffs already, right? And look at my team's turn meter. Okay, R2 still hasn't gone. Okay, he has not gone yet. Okay, notice that. But you can look at the turn meter on my team. So if you look at R2 right now, he's got speed down. He's got 2 dots. OP Han, he's got the 2 dots. I'm just gonna go ahead and Calling Blade Han, or R2. Now, if I had crit, of course, General Kenobi would have taunt right now. But I'm just going to show you what the turn meter does, okay? Calling Blade, I cleanse the buffs. Okay, now there was only 3, so unfortunately the R2 went. That's fine, so it's too bad. General Kenobi now has foresight. It is what it is. But now you can see my Emperor Palpatine's got full turn meter, my short troopers right behind. So of course the AI, I'm going to play just like the AI. Would go ahead with the AoE stun. Now, light side tunes, they're OP, they don't get stunned. No, I'm kidding. I have noticed that JTR has a lot higher than a 2% dodge rate. I've got the videos to prove it. That O-Bag has to have like a 20% evasion chance because it's garbage. But, alright, we'll put up crit immunity on everybody. Okay, of course I can only attack him, but we'll go ahead and apply ability block because it can't be evaded. Now my General Kenobi's got taunt. Great. Okay, he had a foresight. It is what it is. Alright, so now here with the AI, as you know, Thrawn's AI is broken. Now, if General Kenobi had taunt, he would fracture. Now he doesn't have taunt, so he would now cleanse the tune with the lowest effective health pool between protection and health, which is going to be Emperor Palpatine. It sucks. It is what it is, right? Obviously, if I were on offense right now, the right move would be to cleanse General Kenobi, but that's not what the AI would do. But I want to show you what the team would do if it were on offense. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give it to Emperor Palpatine because that's what the AI would do. All right, so he would attack. He applies shock. That's awesome. Now his unique is going to do 40% damage to General Kenobi on his next turn. But you can see Darth Vader already got up again. So Darth Vader has had 3 turns, and BB-8 just took his second, and OP-Han just took his first. And R2 still hasn't gone a second time, okay? So, still, no taunt on General Kenobi. If he had taunt, Thrawn would fracture him, but he doesn't. Most of the time, I notice my Thrawn on auto does fracture JTR, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, Palpatine's got turn meter. I know he would spread shock around, probably to Han, so let's do that. Alright, now he crit, so that's gone, no problem. Darth Vader would apply ability block. Shore's being a good tank like he is. Darth Vader, now his Force Crush is back up. Fantastic. We apply those dots. No crits, General Kenobi doesn't have taunt, but I'm just going to go ahead and remove all these debuffs. Boom. Look at all the turn meter that's gained. Insane. Now Palpatine's up. He's got his stun again. Alright, stunned 2 of the tunes. Got offense up for the team. General Kenobi has taunts. These guys will go ahead and take him out. Regroup. Get that crit immunity up. Alright, now Illuminated Destiny went off. You might think, well, oops, I lost, right? Well, not the case, because Han's about to kill himself from Emperor Palpatine's unique. Alright, so Thrawn would now cleanse Palpatine, because that's what he does. I'm not sure who he would hit. I'm going to just guess R2, because the AI is dumb. Now there's no taunt up. Again, my Thrawn tends to fracture Jedi Ray, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm about running out of time here, so I'm going to have to speed things along. But again, this is what the AI would do. I'm just going to put this on auto, just so I go ahead and win. Maybe I won't. I timed myself out. Well, anyways, you get the idea. But I played this just like the AI. Now, of course, if I were playing this on like normal offense, I would have won. But I haven't been playing offense on this team that much. I've been recording most of my videos on full auto, specifically so as I post the videos, everybody can see exactly what this squad does when the AI is at the helm. So I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet here on a 50 crystal refresh because this team holds well on defense, and I don't mind it. So let's just go ahead and do this. I'm going to run this team on full auto so you can see it in action by itself, and then we'll get a feel for it. Oh, now we stunned Darth Vader. Well, that changes everything. Alright, here we go. Turn off the auto-targeting. Crit immunity. So Vader just had his 3rd turn. This is 4th turn. 5th turn. Alright, Palpatine just had his 3rd turn. This Vader's... I mean, you see all the turns that Vader's taking? I mean, this is crazy. Crit immunity's back up and get the healing going. I mean, if you notice how many turns Vader's having, it's insane. See, okay, so there was no taunt up on General Kenobi and Thrawn Fracture Jedi Ray. I mean, you notice this is like not even close. I mean, I know that Short Trooper was close to dying. He had the healing immunity, but you can see, I mean, this battle's really not even close, and you see how few turns the enemy team is taking and how many turns my Darth Vader is taking. I mean, it's crazy. With his speed and his unique, he takes so many turns, and as he applies and gets rid of debuffs, it feeds my team turn meter. And this is why my Shard hates my team right now. They have told me, there's been chat, I've shared screenshots, it's so fast they won't get very many turns, and my team will have taken 5, 6, 7 turns before some of their tunes even get a first or second turn. Of course, as you notice in the first battle, Darth Vader didn't get stunned, so he went twice before R2, and of course if Palpatine does land a stun for once, you know, Vader could easily get 4 or even 5 turns before R2 gets a single turn. It's insane. So, but that's the battle. That's how it goes. I want to do a video with commentary to try to explain more about why this team is so successful. I know people are hating on General Kenobi. If you do hate on General Kenobi, that's fine. You don't have to use them. If you want to fall back into the 30s, like I did for the last 8 months, running Gat lead with Storm, Shore, and Crooper, that's fine. I ran that team with all the Zetas, loved it. It was fun on offense, dropped like a rock on defense. And I know that Arnold and Smithy D has said that the Darth Nihilus variation of my squad is the best team. It isn't. That team is trash. It drops like a rock on defense. Don't use it. This team is in my opinion the best team following these reworks, and I don't even think it's in its final form, because I think as more Sith are released, and with this new raid that's coming out, as we see hopefully some new Sith tunes or a new Sith tank maybe, or a way to cleanse Sith, I believe that this team can be even better by taking out General Kenobi, and then ultimately you'll be giving Vader more speed. And as you can see now, more Rexes are popping up on my Shard because of me and Shiryu, the other Empire guy on our Shard. But, you know, it's mostly JTR. There's a couple Night Sisters, but Rex is starting to pop up. So, if Rex pops up on yours, it is what it is. I still have no problems winning against Rex on full auto. And then, of course, on defense, it still wins versus Rex. Now, it can lose to Rex. It can lose to JTR. It can lose to Night Sisters. But I've had some of the best teams on my Shard struggle versus this team, and that's why. So I hope this was helpful. Hope you guys learned something. And if you have any questions, hit me up on Discord. Severance8267 is my Discord tag. You can also catch me on the Empire server. Happy to answer questions. But I believe Empire is back. It's at its best. The game changers are wrong. And it's time for the Empire to rise and strike back. So hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And I'll catch you later. had to come back in here real quick, guys, because I just fought this team and I didn't know that I could outspeed his R2, JTR, and BB-8. And I wasn't recording that one, so I bought a refresh, and I'm going to play that for you now because it's just the power of a fast Darth Vader. So, here you go. And notice all those freaking dodges and deflections in that battle too. Oh man, broken tunes are broken. I mean, I still won, and that's probably a little closer than most matches, but again, it just kind of shows the power of a fast Darth Vader. But in spite of all those dodges and deflections, you can see this team is amazing. It's powerful, it's strong, and the Empire is back. Alright guys, that's it for this one. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Later.